Welcome to Salesology, conversations with sales leaders, the art of faster, easier, more profitable sales. When you're ready to transform your sales for today's transforming market, we've got you covered with your host, the queen of cold calling and founder of Salesology, award-winning author, speaker, sales trainer, and coach, Wendy Weiss.
Hi, welcome to Salesology, conversations with sales leaders, the art of faster, easier, more profitable sales. And I'm your host, Wendy Weiss. I am the founder of Salesology and the Salesology Prospecting Method. I'm also known as the Queen of Cold Calling. And today we have a very, very special guest. We have Cyndi Padilla. And Jim is a Global Impact Strategist and Investor. He is the founder and CEO of Gain the Edge, which is a done-for-you provider of industry-leading sales systems. And I love this part, Unicorn Sales Professionals, which he co-heads with his wife, Cyndi Padilla. And Jim and his wife have generated over $250 million, pretty darn impressive, $250 million in sales for a long line of high-level entrepreneurs. And his mission is to help purpose-driven thought leaders untangle themselves from the day-to-day minutiae of seeking leads and sales so that they're free to amplify their impact while scaling their business. So important. Welcome, Jim.
Hey, Wendy, how are you? Thanks so much.
I am so happy you are here. And so the first question I have for you is, what's the Cyndi Padilla story? How did you get here?
Well, the short version is that, I've really been doing this my whole life because of the path that God put me on at a young age. And I grew up in a pretty abusive environment, had teenage parents, and so they did the best they could with what they had. But, fortunately, I'm still here. And I ended up in foster care at 13 and on the streets in gangs at 16 and in jail at 19. And, you learn a lot about reading the room and reading people when you spend your first 20 years just trying to figure out how do you bend people's will to your direction so that you can stay safe and stay alive. And so, little did I know that 20 years later, I'd be making millions of dollars teaching other people how to read the room, bend to influence in their direction so that people wouldn't see them as a threat. Because when people don't buy from you, many times it's simply not because they don't want what you have. It's too many times they feel threatened, like you want their money, you want to get in their pocket, you want to take something from them. And so if you can diffuse that, then life changes. And now they don't see you as a threat. They see you as an ally or an asset, and they let down their walls and things can move forward.
That's an amazing story. And can you share a little bit more about how you do that?
Yeah, well, it's something that, again, it's when we all have those superpowers that we have in our own life that, everybody listening has their own. And the beauty comes when you get to decode it and actually make it something that can be taught and more importantly, learned. And so we basically have mastered the art of assimilation, right? So we can assimilate somebody's brand. And so it's being able to really understand, not just at a logical level, but at an intuitive level, as a complete human experience. Our core rule number one here is it's not what you're saying, but who you're being while you're saying it that matters. And so everything else is subservient to rule one. So anytime we start getting too much in the head, we have to recognize, okay, no, this is a beingness process. And how do you ensure that you are showing up as the person that these people need you to be? Meaning, am I, everything from, am I being the right leader? Am I being the right servant? Am I being the right person? Am I being the challenger? I'm being whatever they need. And so we break down that process so that you can read the room, because the whole objective, like, our friend Zig Ziglar said it best, right? You want what you want. You have to help enough people get what they want, and it will happen automatically. Well, we just learned to put a system to it so that we spend our time serving enough people around us, knowing that it's not a linear effect. It's not like if I serve you, you're going to give me something. But if I serve you and enough people, like all the people listening on this, that off to the other direction, God may serve me from another way. Someone else will come into our world, right? It's all about and understanding the bigger picture of what we're doing. versus just transactional selling.
So, Jim, you manage a sales team,
Yes.
right? How large is your sales team?
We have about 500 salespeople in our network.
Wow.
And so we have people all around the world, different time zones, different cultures, but overwhelmingly English speaking as a primary, because that's what most of our clients need.
So you have taught all 500 of these salespeople your system,
right,
for reading the room.
Correct. Yeah. And it's been interesting because the system itself has been optimized over the time, because every salesperson who comes through here adds to it. Right. So it's not my system, it's the GTE way of selling. And GTE is the byproduct of everybody who's ever worked here.
That's very cool. How do you get 500 people to follow a system?
Well, it's really not, it's not so much about telling people what to say. Like it's about showing who to be. And our system is more focused on structuring the environment in such a way that the sales happen predictably and consistently. So it's more about following our sales playbook and moving forward consistently, which still allows people to be themselves. So you don't have to be me to sell like me. You just have to follow the system that lends itself towards more predictable and consistent outcomes, which again gives also inside of the system gives you the freedom to be yourself.
So could you talk a little bit about the importance of having a system? Because one of the things that I see with my clients a lot is there's this myth of the born salesperson. And they think that if they hire someone who is and I'm making finger quotes here, someone who is a born salesperson, then that person, they're just going to know what to do. And you just teach them about the product or you teach them about the service and let them loose and they're going to sell tons of stuff. And I've never seen that work very well. So could you talk a little bit about the importance of having a system for people?
Yeah, well, the interesting part of a statement like that is that as a born salesperson, every one of you listening to this is a born salesperson. You've been selling every day of your life since the day you were born. And that's how you get people to like you. That's how you get your spouse to want to marry you. It's how you get your kids to eat their vegetables at dinner and do their homework before they go play outside, right? You sell all the time. But it's not because you're following a script. It's because you're doing the things that come naturally. You're literally stepping in and you're being an unapologetic truth teller, and you're asking the questions in a way that you care about somebody. You're serving somebody, you're challenging them when you need to, and you're moving them. It's just when you get into a sales environment in business, you think you have to be something certain. So we put on our hat and we go, I must be a salesperson and I must do these things. And it's like, no. That's not how people buy from you. They buy from you because of who you are already. And you just show up as the full measure of the person that you are already. That's the difference. You can't be a tentative, shy person. You can't be somebody who's overbearing and tyrant because you need an outcome. You just have to be the person who actually cares about the person in front of you, and enough to where you'll tell them the truth unapologetically, and you'll ask all the questions that need to be asked. And then you are the expert of the situation. So then you can make the right recommendations to move forward.
So I see frequently people that are afraid to ask questions,
right?
Or they're afraid to say no to a prospect in what, no, I don't think we can help you. No, we don't do that, but we do this other thing. There's salespeople lots of times have some fear about, they want to be their authentic selves, and yet they have some fear about being their authentic selves. And how do you bring that out of people so they can just be themselves without that fear?
Well, the system, as you mentioned, it's our 7-figure sales playbook. It's basically, we call it our anti-closer sales system, because it's designed so that you don't have to be a rock star salesperson in order to deliver. And it's designed to put you in a position to overcome part of the challenges that you just mentioned. And one of them is, one of the steps is we refine your offer so that it's clear and compelling, so that people actually want it. And unfortunately, most people's offers suck. They're just not clear. They're not compelling. They might be a great solution. They're just not packaged really well. And that's a problem. It's a barrier, right? Then, of course, you need a really good avatar with a bleeding neck problem, because if your avatar doesn't have a bleeding neck problem, they're not massively, motivated to do something about it right now. And then you need a prospect journey that leads them predictably and consistently towards you. And when you start doing all of these things, then people show up with a predisposition to seeking a solution from you. So now you don't have to do all this extra work to try to convince them that they're the right person, because you've already done that part. And then, one of the other components of this is one of the steps in the system is giving the team something to stand for. And when you understand the ideal mission that your avatar is on, it makes it easier to root for them and to challenge them and say, no, you absolutely, like for us, it's all about getting people to the mountaintop. People in our world crave the mountaintop. They absolutely know they're destined for something powerful. They just don't know how to get to the mountaintop. And so they need help. So I don't ever have to sell them on getting to the mountaintop. I just got to help remind them why they want to be there. And so it's different. It takes pressure off of me because the mission is already doing the work. I just have to be clear about what is the mission that my ideal client serves, which is one of the many reasons that you should have a pretty focused niche, right? And then, of course, having the core story. What is the thing that all of these things are tools that your salespeople can put in place that, again, prevent them from having to be a rock star salesperson and just show up being an amazing human. I care about what you're doing. I care about your story. I care about the fact that you've tried this 50 times and it's never worked for you. I care about the fact that you are all winging it and it sucks. I care about the fact that you've been doing this for so long and you've watched other people who are just starting and making more money than you simply because they have a better system, not because they're better at what they do. I know your story because I've been your story and I deal with these people all the time, right? You all have that same thing. And so when you are operating from those key components that I just laid out, it's easy to talk to people about it because you've already identified the framework and the conversation that needs to happen. So it's not about you. It's not about you being pushy. It's about you challenging somebody to pursue their dream and their mission that they've already told you that they want, and they have, right? So if somebody if I told you I have to be the best, we're on a mission to be the most loved and well-respected sales organization in the industry. And then I do things like manipulate people or do something, you got to tell me, whoa, you're trying to be the most loved and well-respected. You can't be manipulating people because I'm the one who said I want to be the most well-loved and respected. You're not trying to force anything on me except a mirror, right? And then it just all the system does is takes all the pressure off of you from trying to create all this stuff. And you're just literally just talking to people the same way you talk to somebody when you're trying to convince your kids to eat their vegetables or do their homework and why it matters. You don't care if they don't like it. You're going to tell them the truth anyway because they need it, because you care about it.
Exactly. And, it's interesting to me because I think one of the things, I hear this a lot, salespeople worry about being manipulative, and yet most of them aren't.
Right.
But they sure worry about it a lot. Is that something that you see? And it sounds like your system takes that worry away.
Yeah. I'll add this to that. I believe it's been a weird thing because the sales industry always has this black eye, right? We're pushy. Every sales trainer on the planet has some sort of comma statement, what I call it. I help you make more sales, comma, without feeling sleazy, pushy, or slimy. I help you convert. I help you sell this. I help you sell that. And they always have the comma without feeling pushy, sleazy, or slimy. If you go to anywhere in our copy, you'll never find that anywhere on any of our sales pages, our landing pages, and my webinars. I don't talk about it because part of the reason that people think this stigma about salesy, sleazy, slimy, bashful, dope, happy, doc, all the dwarfs, is because we talk about it every day. If we stop saying it, people will stop expecting it. I don't talk about it. I just show up and say, hey, we're going to help you make sales. I'm not going to help you apologize to you for wanting to make sales, wanting to make money, wanting to scale your company to the point where total sidetrack here. I'm being a squirrel moment, but I see your salesology thing. And in my brain, I'm so focused on scale in all my conversations that I thought it said scalesology.
Salesology.
Anyway, but yeah, we put this stigma to it and then we wonder why people think sales is slimy. Part of it is our own fault.
I love what you just said because, I looked up the word sell in the dictionary. And the definition was to persuade someone of the value of whatever it is you're selling. So this concept of value is inherent in the definition.
Yeah.
And yet all the salespeople are running around going, oh, I don't want to be pushy. I don't too aggressive, too manipulative. And it's like you're just helping people.
Yeah. I just finished up some videos this weekend. Our marketing team's putting some webinars, got a webinar tomorrow, and we have other stuff going on. And so I was working through some of the offers around it. And one of the things I was talking about in that video is that there was three keys that are three simple mistakes that most people are making in the sales game. And one of them, mistake number one, is not wanting something bad enough that you'll do anything for it. And by anything, you define anything. I mean, we're not saying, oh, cut somebody's throat and cheat them, rob, lie, and steal. But you at least have to want to push some boundaries in order to accomplish the things that you want. And then you decide what's the ethical, moral, legal line to not cross, because that's different for everybody. But if you're not even thinking about pushing the boundary, you're never going to cross a line, and you're never going to show up. It's anything more than normal and average, right? So you got to start thinking bigger than yourself. You have to start thinking about things that are going to expand your boundaries and challenge the hell out of you, scare the hell out of you, and force you to do something different.
We ask our clients every coaching session, what are you going to do to get out of your comfort zone this week? That's what we ask them.
Amen.
Yeah. So we're going to pause here for a moment for a word from our sponsor, Salesology 3X Appointments. You know how frustrating and stressful it is when you leave every sales meeting wondering if your sales team knows how to sell, because they're not selling and all you ever hear from them are excuses. They blame your marketing. They say you need to do more social media, and they say you need a new website. You know something's wrong, but you don't quite know what it is, and you're even starting to wonder if it's you. You don't have a lot of options. You could fire them all and start from scratch, and that would be expensive. And you're really sick of waking up in the middle of the night wondering how to fix this. Well, imagine instead that you have an easy-to-use, replicable system that ensures that your team can easily schedule qualified appointments. And imagine that your team is excited and motivated, no more excuses, and you feel good. Salesology 3X Appointments can make that happen. If you're a business owner or sales manager with an underperforming sales team, let's talk. Click on the link to my calendar in the show notes and schedule a time. I look forward to meeting you. And now we are back with Cyndi Padilla, Global Impact Strategist Investor, and the founder and CEO of Gain the Edge. So I have a question for you, Jim.
All right.
Because you manage 500 salespeople. What drives you crazy about that?
The humanity is all the things that are the biggest blessings or all the things that are the biggest frustrations, right? People's creativity, which then gives them opportunity to just get off track so easily because they all think they got the latest, greatest new idea. It's the competition piece. I mean, I'm a firm believer in competition, healthy, strong competition, so that people want to, they get motivated when they see somebody doing it better. And it doesn't mean I got to be better than him. It's like, oh, wow, I want to match his innovation. I want to match her level of output because I just realized by watching her, I still have so much more I can get, right? I mean, so it doesn't mean I need to beat her. It means I need to be inspired by her to do that or better, right? But sometimes people get insecure. People get in, sometimes people see competition wrongly. And that's probably one of the biggest things is people tend to start doubting themselves as a outcome of what other people are doing. And that's just not the right way to go. I want you to use it to see the gaps that you have, but then have a plan to move beyond it. But we spend a lot of time playing nurse with salespeople because they're people. And sales is energy. Sales is emotion. It's about who you're being, not what you're saying. So when metrics are down, the first thing we look at is, hey, what's going on in your life? And oftentimes you find out they were sick or they were up all night for 3 weeks because their kids were sick, or their mother's in the hospital, or their husband lost a job, or who knows. But it very rarely is it, I just started sucking at sales today. It's usually something else that's going on. And so that's probably the toughest piece, is being able to stay on top of people, keeping them at a place where they feel comfortable to say, I'm not well right now, mentally or emotionally or whatever. Because a lot of people fear that. So it's constantly providing a safe environment for people to be able to challenge themselves and each other all the time. That's probably the most difficult piece of all of it.
Well, I am in awe of you with 500 salespeople. I know that one of the big lessons I had to learn about managing, it's funny because I say to my clients, you need to communicate with me because I don't read minds. And yet when I hired early on, when I was hiring people, I thought they would be just like me and just figure it out, and I could hire them and set them loose. So I made so many of the mistakes that I see some of my clients making today. And what I have learned is your salespeople can't read your mind either. So that communication, having that communication is just so important.
It is. And I will add a little caveat to this. I don't manage anybody. I'm not a manager. I'm a visionary. And so we have teams of team leaders and sales managers, and they manage the team. So,
but you set up the system.
Correct. Yeah, that is true. But we have structured it in a way that, the team leads each other, and the team leads the team and takes care of itself. So I couldn't imagine trying to manage 500 people.
No.
Yeah.
No. So what type of just general advice would you give for people that are managing a sales team, or for business owners that want to scale and start to hire? Two-part question.
Yes. It's interesting because I take a little bit of different perspective than what a lot of people do here. Most people are looking for the highest common denominator. I want the greatest salespeople on the planet. And, I guess in theory, yeah, but I want the greatest system that will allow people to be the greatest salespeople. I would rather, instead of having rock star talent and then wrapping them in a mediocre system that will get them to drop the bar, I want to get good people, wrap them in a great system so that they can consistently and predictably overachieve. And when you have a great system and a great offer and everything that follows that, then you just want to, it's so much easier to find good humans than it is good salespeople. Find good humans, wrap them in a great system, give them something to fight for, and watch them run through walls for you.
I love that.
Versus the other way around.
Yeah. Because good salespeople are in the eye of the beholder.
Yes.
And
we've had so many times where people will come to us and we'll talk to their former employer or somebody else. It's a small circle. You always know the people somehow. And I've had people say, yeah, he's a good guy, but he's kind of a head case, or he's kind of a challenge, or he's this or that. Those people are never that for me. Those people are always come here and they're rock because they love our systems. They love our support. They love our structure. And they're just a different person here than they were over there. And usually we find out that it was because they were trying to be part of the system and figure out the system. So they were working twice as hard for half as much. And so, they weren't being the same person that they're being here. So you have everything to do with who they're being when they're here.
Yeah, I love that. And so much of our work is about setting up systems for prospecting.
Right.
Because there's that myth of the born salesperson that, you're just going to hire them and set them loose and they're going to know what to do.
Yeah.
And having that system is really what makes the difference. It's a lesson that I learned early on.
Right. Well, you want to make sure that you have a good system in terms of just, the process. What are the steps? And then how do you, the system is designed to ensure that the things you want them to do, that they do them predictably, right?
Mhm.
And then you want to have a value set that everybody matches. We've had plenty of people come through here who are fantastic humans. They just didn't really fit into our values. And so there just wasn't a good fit. And it doesn't mean anything except they didn't fit. And then the culture. What kind of culture do you have? Do you have a culture? When I had my alarm company, we had a culture of conquering. I had former military, former athletes. We were out in the streets in the hot sun and the cold and rain, banging on doors and getting doors slammed in your face and being told to F off and all that. We had a culture of overcoming because it was necessary, right? We had a culture of conquering because these guys felt like they had to just go dominate. Well, and then now we have this team of heart-centered, like you mentioned, unicorn salespeople who care immensely about the work that you do, and they care about your mission and your process stuff. And so we have a culture of caring. We have a culture of comfort. We have a culture of compassionately telling the truth, right? And so we create that environment all the time where everybody can stretch their boundaries because they feel comfortable to do it and they know this is a safe environment. And at the same time, they know that results matter because if we don't get the results, clients don't hire us. But the results come as a byproduct of the caring, the compassion, and the process and the ability to tell unapologetic truth. Results are not the thing that we drive with. Results are the end result, the outcome of the things that we drive with, right?
And also, since you do have a system, and you have essentially proven the model over and over again, when you bring someone new in, they can be very comfortable knowing that they're following something that is proven, and if they just follow the system, they're going to be successful too.
Correct. And then one thing that works for us, and I never thought it would, I'll tell you the truth on this, Wendy, when I first started this, my biggest frustration is now become our biggest asset. Because I thought I would just have an army of people who were banging 9 to 5, 8 hours a day doing work for us. And it hasn't worked that way. Most of our sales team is entrepreneurs, or they've exited a company and they just like being part of a team now, or they don't want to deliver, they just want to sell. And they kind of come and go. They create their own adventure. Some people work 40 hours, 50 hours a week for us. Other people they just come on and do an event once a month. And then there's everything in between. We have people working on one campaign. We have people working on 4 campaigns. So you get to choose your own adventure. And it is probably the biggest secret to the success that we've had, because everybody gets to do what they want. No, we don't assign people to campaigns. We invite them. And if they say no, then they don't work for that client, right? And so everything has been a choose your own adventure here. And in the beginning, it used to drive me nuts. I was like, what is wrong with these people? But now it's been our greatest asset. It's awesome.
Yeah, having people that work for you that are happy
can
go a long way towards ensuring success. And so I know, Jim, you have a gift for our listeners. So would you, we're going to post the link in the show notes below. So everyone, you can just click on the link to access Jim's gift. But why don't you share some details about that?
Yeah. So I have something that we've called the anti-closer sales system. And it is the steps that we walk through, but there's a tool that will help you set yours up so that you can find those 6 key points that will help you deliver the system that our whole goal is to be able to have an average salesperson consistently and predictably sell your products. Just think how that would feel, right? So we want to give you the tool that will be the first step in helping you set that up. And if you go to my personal website, jimp360.com, JIMP360.com, you go there and you can watch my videos. You can have access to all my social medias. You can find out how to hire us. You can find out how to work for us, my podcast, our missions, all of that. But the first thing I want you to do is click on the contact button. On the contact button, you'll have cell phone number, all that stuff. I want you to push the text button and shoot me a text. Give me your full name and your email and just say anti-closer. And I want to text you. And I'm going to send this to you, this resource to you. Most importantly, I want to get to know you. That's why I'm not sending you to an opt-in page and non-personal opt-in page. I'm sending you someplace that you're going to be able to connect to me and have dialogue with me, because I want to get to know you, what you're doing, what your challenges are, how you're trying to grow through sales in this economic winter and weird place that we're in. I want to be able to support you as much as possible. And we can only do that when we can get to know you. So jimp360.com, you find everything under one roof, and I'd love to talk to you.
Okay, wonderful. And again, that link is in the show notes. So just go to the show notes, click on the link, text Jim, and then you can watch his videos, listen to the podcast, and do everything else. But text him first. So, so thank you so much for being here, Jim. We've been talking to Cyndi Padilla, who is Global Impact Strategist Investor, founder and CEO of Gain the Edge. And Jim, would you put your hand over your heart and promise me that you will come back?
Absolutely. Okay. I love what you're doing. And I just, I love being able to help and share. And I wish more people would do that. I like to have people back on my podcast as well, because you're growing and you're changing. So the next time you come back, you're a different person, right? You don't just say the same stuff all the time, right? So I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, wonderful. And so again, please check out the show notes for Jim's link so that you can text him and then watch his videos, podcasts, et cetera, et cetera. And if you found value in today's podcast, please think about one business owner or one sales professional that you think might also want to listen. And please share that link with them. And you have been listening to Salesology, Conversations with Sales Leaders. I am your host, Wendy Weiss. I have been talking to Cyndi Padilla. And until we meet again, visualize yourself surrounded by cash, really large bills.
You've been listening to Salesology, Conversations with Sales Leaders, the art of faster, easier, more profitable sales. Be sure to follow so that you don't miss a single episode. And while you're at it, please leave a rating and review, and be sure to share it with your friends. Tune in every week for more exciting insights and wisdom on transforming sales. And until next time, visualize yourself surrounded by cash, very large bills.